Hello once again, world. This is DC David Crouch along with my beautiful co-host Tomise Jones, who always has her hair done, bless her heart. And this is another episode of Shaking Up the Algorithms. Tonight, we're going to talk about grief in our own little way. You know how we do. So we're going to talk about things that, we go through, how we survive it, how we cope, how we deal. We're going to talk about all that just so we can make, so we can help y'all figure out how to cope with grief. So what else we got, Tomise? You know what?
That is so sad.
All you got is one job. You just got one job. Just one. Just one job.
You know what, Crouch? I'm going to let you have that.
You're going to have to. You don't have a choice. You sound like you have a choice. You don't. So anyway.
It's hard. It's hard over here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm wearing multiple hats while Crouch, just gets to be in GQ rare form and just talk and, show his wares. And I got to do all the stuff behind the scenes, I'm the frontal person. I'm the backup engineer. I'm all the good stuff, So yeah, Crouch, I'm, that one moment, that lapse there,
So you want extra money for being the Geek Squad, man? Don't you want extra money?
Nice.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll have my people call your people. We'll be all right.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay. So what do we have tonight? So we start off laughing about grief. Lord help us, Jesus. We're going to figure it out one way or the other.
Well, the thing about it is, we can't stay sad all the time. Even when we're dealing with grief, we've got to be able to find the joy in the midst of the sorrow.
Right.
So we're going to be able to discuss all of those good things. We have a great guest tonight that is going to give us some tidbits on not just overcoming grief, but how to deal with the process of grief. So I'm excited.
She's from the East Coast, got that East Coast accent, all that. I'm sorry. I just had a moment.
You ain't got it, Crouch. I'm sorry.
I had a moment. Let my country self have a moment. God. Okay, go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay. So let me go ahead and introduce our guest because I'm so excited to hear everything that this young lady has to say.
Right.
Beautiful spirit. That's all I'm going to say. She's just a beautiful spirit. And it is going to definitely transcend to you all as well.
Right.
So with that being said, Kiana Almia Walker Jones. Now, she's always been passionate about making a difference in the lives of others. And even when she was younger, she would sit and write on anything, just using her imagination. Now, her life has never been easy, and she's fought for everything, including her self-esteem. Jones had many obstacles in her life that shaped and sculpted her to be who she is today, a beautiful, strong young woman. And I can attest to that. She really is. Jones's faith is what brought her this far, and it is leading her to touch and help those that are in need. She knows the battles of losing loved ones, as she's lost her father, her mother, her husband, all of this by the age of 36. So despite the tears that she's cried, the pain has helped her to birth the beautiful poems within her. And it is entitled in a book called You and I Inspired Me. So with that being said, let me introduce the one and only Kiana Jones. Come on up, young lady.
Hi again. I know that was an amazing introduction and long, but it was nice. It was nice.
It was long.
It was nice. Now, hold on. I want to point out something real quick. I didn't know you was a poet. I didn't know you did that.
Yes, I saved that. For yes. I want to give up the good.
You know, I don't think that was
Yes.
fair. Cause you know how I does this, and you couldn't tell me that. You supposed to be
Yes.
my co-host. We supposed to be on the same page.
I know. But I
Like,
wanted to
whoa, like
surprise
what
you,
we doing?
Couch. I wanted to surprise you.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, we're gonna talk about grief first, then we'll segue into that.
All right.
So, and I also didn't know that you had so many losses, at a young age. Like, tell me, how did you deal with that grief? I mean, you are definitely a good candidate for the show. So, show, give us some nuggets on how to deal with all of that grief.
Well, first for me, everyone deals with grief differently. We don't all deal with grief the same way. We deal with it definitely in our own way. And first for me, each individual loss was different. Even though it was a loss, it was all different. I pretty much had to really sit with my emotions a lot. It came to like a lot of acceptance. It came to a lot of, crying. It just came to the point where I had to identify, like, you know what, I have to really sit with these emotions. I got to deal with them. But at the end of the day, I also need to understand why it actually happened in my life. So that's something that I actually did. I took time to process the emotions by allowing myself to just feel each emotion, no matter if it was sad, no matter if it was angry, no matter if, I just wanted to cry, because many days, like anybody, sometimes you just don't want to go on because you don't have that person in your life. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes a whole lot to just get you up and going. It
Right.
really does. It takes a whole lot.
So let me
So,
ask you a question. In your writing and being a poet, since I just
mhm.
find this out, being a poet, do you find yourself losing yourself in that to kind of escape from it, to help you deal with it, or how does that help?
Well, to be honest with you, yes, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot because it allowed me to express my emotions. It allowed me to truly express my emotions, how I felt, just pour it out, no matter where, what it was. So, a lot of my poems, they all have stories to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just even like me losing someone itself, because grief is not just a loss. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just the loss of loved ones. You could lose yourself like in relationships. You could lose yourself as far as dealing with materialistic things, but I always say the biggest grief is when you lose who you are.
Mm-hmm.
The poems, it allowed me to identify who I was and it allowed me to just escape and just feel at ease and just felt so good.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt so good. So every poem that I actually have in my poetry book is literally a story. It tells a story about my journey to who I needed to become, what I've been through, what I experienced, how I had to step back and watch other people, go through theirs and just hurting inside. Even though it wasn't me, but me hurting for them inside.
So you think in writing the book it became like your redemption song, like you redeemed yourself from your amazing works in the book that you written in poetry book that you wrote?
Yes, it helped me a lot. It helped me tremendously to release a lot of emotions
Yeah.
that I felt. I was able to also take some of those emotions amazingly, and it allowed me. How can I say this? It allowed me to feel the pain of others. It
Mm,
allowed me to also speak
right,
things that others maybe are afraid to speak.
right, right.
And
Now,
that,
now, now, me being a poet myself, uh, I have learned, and because I write a lot of stuff that about my life and what I've been through, and what it was is people ask me, how can you do poetry like that? Because you're always hitting that restart button.
hmm
And I think, you have to really deal with the thing that you're writing about in order to deliver it. Otherwise, you're not going to be delivered effectively. So, how do you deal with, whenever you do a poem or read a poem or however you do it, deal with hitting that restart button and it not affecting you to stop you from going forward?
what I do usually for that, I I go back to that emotion. I literally go back to the emotion to feel what I felt when I was writing it.
Okay.
And once I allow myself to feel that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm able to express it.
Right.
Because now it's like I'm back to where I was, but I do not allow myself to stay there.
Mm.
And that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
See, you got to be able to, go back,
Mm.
feel it, read it, but at the end of the day, don't allow it to stop you. Go forth.
Mm. Mm.
Just definitely go forth. Because when I look at that, it's more so of you're going through. You're going through a process.
Just I'm gonna ask something impromptu of you to do. Do you have your book with you so we can hear something?
I do. I
Yeah.
actually do.
Yeah, I would like to hear something from you.
Okay, no problem. I'm give me 1 second. Always something, right? All right. I'm gonna read this particular poem
Okay.
because I have like plenty of poems. Let's see which one I want to read. I got so many of them. I don't know which one I want to read. See? Look at that. Look at that.
That guy use you.
Yes, I am. You know what? I'm gonna read this one.
Okay.
I think this would be a perfect one
Okay.
to describe. All right. This particular poem right here is actually called Grief. It's actually called Grief.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read this one. The tears roll down the eyes of us as we just witness the breath which we must entrust. The pain that is felt is a hole that needs replenishing, a hole that only one can fix. Angry inside, hid from all truth, the reality to know no one is in control. The breath again inside the body. God, I wish I had control of this body. The loneliness felt with cries that are deep within, wondering one day this will all come to an end. Is this grief that was written on the inside, trying to combust into overflowing cries? Trying to be silent, but the inside still loud, the emotions pouring, searching for help, the help that was expected, but not from whom was expected. Turning to others, wondering, can they fix this pain? Realizing they too have so much pain. Holding tight to what you can control, still not realizing you're not in control. Finally, you try to cry to the power that be, crying, asking, oh God, why me? Silent it becomes as you feel alone. Then the present come to make you whole. Life breath back into the body that was decaying. Grief so hard you thought you wouldn't have made it. Walk with him, for he knows what is needed. The healing to renew mind, body, and soul. Grief taking a toll, now time to relax, to gain peace after going through all of that. Looking back to what used to be, now it's time to move on, you see. Move on to where? Searching to find, realizing that it was all part of God's great divine. Understand the lesson that came from grief. In that time, did you not remember thee? Comfort, peace, release, all that was inside of thee. Your pain was a purpose to help humanity.
Hmm. That's good. Imagery is really good. Your word choices are really good. Question: Were you writing your whole life, or you start really writing strongly after um, the deaths, and coping with the deaths?
Well, it started pretty much. I used to write when I was younger. I used to write poetry a lot. I always loved poetry um, when I was a little bit younger. And I actually took a break from it. But what wound up happening is once my late husband had actually passed away, it really picked up. But before he passed away, something actually occurred within that same year, dealing with my son. And by the grace of God, he kept my son because I could have lost my son that year too, within that same year. So I pretty much just came to the fact of just waking up in the middle of the night one morning and TMI, they said most poems come to you like on a toilet, TMI.
Right.
But that's where a poem just flooded me. And
Mhm.
I began to write. Because I was also trying to figure out what type of leader I was.
Mhm.
That's something that I was like, what type of leader am I? And once I found out what type of leader I was, I kind of did like a little short story bio as far as like dealing with my life. Then after that, it just took from there. I just started writing from there. Once my late husband passed away, it really just started trickling down to where I was writing more and more and more, to the point where I'm looking like, this is one book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was just amazed of now how many books I actually have written so far. So yeah.
Hmm.
So let me ask the time, excuse me, crowd.
Right.
So the time span in which like you lost your husband,
Mhm.
what was like I guess the time in between all of the deaths? And was it like during a certain, age bracket? I mean, I know everything was before 36, but was it like all in your 30s? Did you lose somebody in your 20s? Like, because the reason I'm asking is I know a lot of times when we lose someone, there's an emotional level of maturity that we're at and how we're able to deal and process that. So I'm trying to kind of get the backstory a little bit to kind of see emotionally where you were and how that affected you, at that time.
Well, both parents before the age of 30.
Mm.
Both of my parents before the age of 30. My father first. I lost him first. And with him, that hurted me because I became, like anyone, definitely like a daddy's girl, even though I was an adult.
Mhm.
So that hurted me. And I remember the last thing I actually said to him. And I was letting him know that, guess what, I'm going to finish school. That was the last thing I told him. And I finished school. And when I finished school, I wasn't able to call him. And that hurted. That really hurted. It took some time. I'm going to say about 6 months. 6 months after his death, that's when it hit me hard. It hit me the hardest because I just wanted to call him and I realized I can't pick up the phone to call him.
Yeah.
And I just cried and just cried because I'm like, I can't even speak to you. But what I did is I tried to hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to hear his voice and what he would say to me in that particular moment. And that helped me a lot. It helped me a lot, to hear his voice, know the lessons, that he taught me from young growing up. And it got me through.
Yeah.
It got me through, So it was more like sad fars for him, like more of that, more crying.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my mother, literally, I would say 3.5 years later,
Wow.
she passed away. And with her, I was there with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember her, and I awakened to discovering that she was no longer there. I had awakened to it. So with her, that was a different type of pain because I'm like, my mother's not here, so Mother Days were hard when that
Right.
came around, as far as for me. But still, I'm like, okay, remember what your mom will say to you. What would she say to you? And my mom, we used to have conversations, about, just the faith itself, just
Mm-hmm.
keeping faith. I remember that literally, like, I love rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
So I identify with a lot of symbolism and everything that goes on with grief. And I remember my older sister literally like a rainbow over my mother. She was like a rainbow over her, and I was holding my mother's hand. And I remember my mom, when I was with her too, before she passed away, it was just amazing just to see how her transition between now until her going into, the spiritual world.
Yeah.
So she was tapping her feet. I could just remember it like yesterday. I was just sitting in front of her and just trying to help her, to stop something that was occurring with her. And I just, she's just tapping her feet. That's what she was doing, tapping her feet. And we both fell asleep, literally sitting up, which is funny. And I felt her cold feet, and I just looked up and I just looked at her. And I just told her, when she opened her eyes, I say, "You hear it, don't you?" I say, "You hear the music. You hear the music." So that right there, it gave me closure to see her transition.
Mm-hmm.
I think closure is so important if you can get it.
It is. It really is. I mean, I can attest to that myself. When my mom passed, I think for me though, some people, again, you go through an emotional phase. But because my mom was actually injured in an accident when I was like 14, she was in a nursing home up until the day she died. So for the next 26 years, I always felt like I could see her, but it still felt like it was a slow death. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't like she was around all the time, or, like we had the same relationship as we did prior to. And mentally, because of the injuries that she incurred, she ended up having brain damage. So her mind was deteriorating by the time in which she passed. So it was almost like she went backwards. She reversed back to her childlike mindset. So when I would see her, it would be like, "Oh, well, when am I going home with you?" And for the longest time, I had the biggest sense of guilt, because that was my goal. I wanted to make sure that wherever I lived, I would be able to bring her with me. Like she could be with her grandkids, she could be around us. And that never happened. But when she passed, it was almost like a sense of relief for me, in a sense, because I felt like for so long I carried a burden that wasn't mine. No one else, I'm the oldest of all my siblings. So my siblings didn't have that same relationship like I had with her. So I was her guardian and everything. I took care of her up until the day she died, handling all of her medical proxies and legal stuff, and it took a toll on me. Like it really did, and I miss my mom. I do, but it was like I felt like I didn't really lose her. I had lost her 26 years before.
Yeah.
So just physically, she was gone, but it was like emotionally, we had been separated for years.
Yeah.
And to get to the closure piece, and I tell this story in my book, which is about to come out. When I had to go and see my mom at the hospital, they had told me, because she was in a home, they sent her to the hospital. They was like, "We need you to come and identify the body." I was like, "Okay." So my sister and I went, and I'll never forget, I walked in this room and I seen her on this gurney, and I just boo-hooed and I cried, and her eyes was open. And we were having this long conversation because I just felt like, well, hey, this our last time. I might as well talk to you like, everything's good. And we had a long conversation, and I said my goodbyes. And I remember I went to try to close her eyes, and her eyes wouldn't close. It was like she literally opened them back up. I was like, "Oh, you're playing. Like, you really playing with me right now." So I tried it again. Still wouldn't go. So I said, "Well, dang." I said, "All right, well, I guess you just want to see me leave." Right. And, I wished her goodbye, and I left the room. So my sister, who's younger than me, she went in, and she said, "Well, I'm going to just say a few words, and she went in, and she came out a few minutes later, and she was like, "Yeah, well, I closed her eyes." And I wanted to bust out laughing in front of her. And I was just like, wow. It made me feel like even in that moment, her and I, we still had that connection. You know what I mean? It was like
Yeah.
she couldn't leave until she saw me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Mm-hmm.
that really made me feel a lot better. It made me, come to grips with the fact that, hey, she's really not here anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I really felt at ease. But again, everybody's journey, everybody's sense of loss is different, and the thing of it is, you lost both of your parents before 30, and now you have a love in your life, you know what I mean, what you consider
Right.
your life partner, you know what I mean, somebody to help you make it through the pain of losing your parents and all of this good stuff, and then you lose that person.
Right.
Yep.
How do you feel in that? Because it's like your world is really shook at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How did you come to grips with that?
I was there from day one with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through the whole process with him. The whole process. Um, and I knew, he was sick. So I stayed by him, by his side each and every day. We laughed, we talked, you know. Um, we just told each other how much like we loved each other. And even during that time, like my faith grew stronger,
Mm-hmm.
despite me not really knowing the outcome, because we never know the outcome.
True.
When it came time for him, I cried. I did cry.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get through the process, I actually was angry.
Yeah.
I had so much anger like built up inside of me, like, but I didn't lose my faith. I didn't lose my faith. Actually, at his service, to be honest with you, I actually stood and recited a poem.
Wow.
Mm.
I actually stood up, spoke, and recited a poem.
Mm.
And I'm like, and even during all the planning that I had to do, everything, I thank God for support.
Yeah.
When you have good support, that makes so much of a difference to help you get through what
It
you're
does.
going through.
It does.
So during that planning, I had my middle sister with me. She was there, and I was like, 1, 2, 3. She was just by my side the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I thank God for that, because there are some people when they're going through this, they have no one sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have anybody.
That's true.
But I was blessed to have a support system
Mm-hmm.
that helped me through. So even though I had the support system, that helped me through, um, I still, at the end of the day, when no cameras was around, nobody was around, I still had to deal with this.
Yeah.
Like, I thank God for my support system, but I still had to deal with it internally for myself. So there were times that I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep. There are times that I felt like I don't want to even get out the bed. I just don't want to get out the bed. I want to stay here.
Right.
But I pushed myself.
Mm.
I pushed myself because it's like, Kiana, I understand you got a loss. I understand this happened to you. But at the end of the day, you can't stay here.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stay here. You got to get up. You got to move. And I always said, my son is my outer motivation as I am my inner. And I felt like even though it was my husband that I lost, I couldn't give up on my son.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could have easily gave up on him.
Yeah.
But I chose not to. And even when I lost my husband, I cried over his corpse. But I told him, I'm not going to be selfish. I'm going to let you go.
Mm.
I'm going to let you go.
Mm.
I'm not going to be selfish. I'm letting you go.
Mm.
Because I knew he was going to a better place.
Right.
That he didn't have to worry about all the pain, the worries, the troubles anymore. So my faith literally carried me so far to deal with it, along with having family.
Yeah.
Having that family support, but also starting to identify, as far as for me personally, like, Kiana, what is it that you like to do? What is one thing that you like to do? What is one thing worth living for? And that's something that I would even tell a lot of people when you're going through, identify what is the one thing that's worth living for? Because you got breath. You're not dead. You have breath.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as you have breath, find the one thing that's worth living for. And I had to go through that process where it started taking me, literally, God started taking me through this experience of, I wound up doing boxing. I thought I was doing it for my son, but I wound up doing boxing. You know, like, I'm gonna do it for him, but you know, the anger and everything, right? Yeah, I was like, oh no, this is for me. I found out really quick it was for me. I went to the boxing, tried it out. I literally, the first time hit the bag, oh, I feel good, energized, mental state, everything, right? Yeah, once I got out the class, literally, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I literally cried for a whole hour.
Wow.
Just cried for the whole hour, just releasing, like you said. So then I was like, okay, I'm good. I got this. I'm good. Went back a second time. Same thing. Cried for another hour. Said, oh my God, what is going on? I ain't supposed to be feeling this. So the boxing helped me to release that anger.
Yeah.
I had my support. I had my faith. I had my outer motivation. I knew what was the one thing worth living for, because I'm like, God, you know what? You kept me. You kept me. Because I could have been I was in the same predicament as my husband during that time.
Wow.
But he kept me. And I asked him, why did you keep me? There's a reason for it. And I was angry at God for it. And I know sometimes a lot of us like, well, I want to keep these emotions. He knows. He knows what you're going through. He knows it. He knows that you're going to be angry. He knows that you're going to cry. He knows that you're going to be sad. He knows there are days you're not going to want to get up out of bed. He knows it. He knows it. And because I'm looking like, okay, I got to keep going. Here we go. Keep going. I started writing. He started waking me up in the midnight hours. And I just started writing and writing and writing. And I just kept writing. And every time I wrote, I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This came out of me. Wow.
I know it's feeling.
This came out of me. Like, wow, this is powerful. Thank you, God. You know? And stuff. But I love the fact that every last one of them were different. They were all different. I experienced it differently. I allowed myself to go through it. And one day it really hit me again. It told me, like the spirit just came to me again, let go. Let go. And in that moment, I realized I have no control of my breath. I have no control of what goes on as far as me losing someone. I may not know why I've lost this person or these people in my life, but God knew. He knew why. And I can honestly say, you know, even after that, even after the book, I lost 2 more. Because I can also identify with losing a pet. And that hurted me, because when I was going through what I was going through with my husband, see, my dog, what she would do every morning, she would come up like, okay, you ain't out the bed. It's time for me to go for a walk. What's going on? You ain't out the bed yet. So it forced me to get out the bed. She helped me to get out the bed. I started going back into nature. I started walking. I started sitting. I started meditating. I started embracing everything around me
Yeah.
that nature can do for me. For me. And it helped. And being in nature, it helped me to heal.
Yeah.
It helped me to begin healing because I started looking at the birds. I started looking at, just the sky and how beautiful it is. I'm like, wow, I'm on this side. Like, I'm still living. I still got breath. Hold on.
Right.
Then he brought me back to like a childlike state. I had to become humble. I think sometimes people forget about becoming humble. I had to literally sit before God and become a child again.
Yeah.
Because that's how much I needed him. That's how much I needed him.
Wow.
Ooh,
You said something earlier that resonated in me really tough. I never looked at it like this, but I think the more you have closure in the death, like when my grandfather passed, I helped take care of him until he left. So his death was a lot easier to deal with because I was with him. I talked to him a lot, before he passed. It was a lot easier to deal with. But when it's somebody that you ain't forgave and y'all ain't had that conversation and y'all ain't got all of that out and worked that out, I had a best friend that got killed in '99. And me and him never hashed that out, and it tore me up when he passed. It just ripped me apart because this dude was my best friend. So it hits different. You know what I'm
It
saying?
does. It does. It does. And that's another key. That's another key. I have a saying I go by, in order to love, you have to forgive. In order to forgive, you have to love. You can't have one without the other. You can't break those two apart. So even when it comes down to getting your closure with things like that, you have to come to self forgiving yourself first. Give yourself grace. Give yourself that grace. And it's the same thing of working through the emotions, but you're identifying, okay, this is what it was. It makes you understand, like, okay, this petty argument that I had, what did I have it for?
Facts.
Yeah.
It's facts.
What did I have it for? So when you begin to identify this stuff, it's like, I gotta be able to forgive me first. I gotta forgive me. Because also you can go back again. What would your friend have said to you? What would your friend have said to you? What would they have said? It goes back to always, if the person was here, what would they say to you? What would they say to you? Would they want you to be hard on yourself? Would they want you to sit there and be crying? Would they want you to stay in that predicament? Or would they say, listen, you got to get this together. You know I love you.
Right.
Get on up.
Right.
What you mad for?
True.
I forgive you.
It's true.
I love you.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I just said something in my brain that was really retarded in my brain. I'm like, people that's dead ain't got no bills. They happy and they ain't doing nothing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, it was in my brain. I didn't want it to come out, but it just came out.
It's the truth, though. It's the truth.
Right.
They ain't got to worry about that. We do. We on this side got to worry about the bills, not them.
Right. Hey, I see how I broke the monotony of the solemnness in the conversation.
Yes.
Back. Yeah. So I had to do that. See, the Lord told me to do that. Yeah, Lord.
And that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. Now, for the people that's listening, and for the people that come to the show whenever we do one, and for the people in the atmosphere, like, what would be the one nugget, the one thing, if they don't remember nothing else that you said, that you could tell them to say, hey, you want to get over grief and you want to live your life and you want to live it abundantly and be happy with life and not allow grief to tear you up, what would be the one nugget you can give them?
The one nugget that I would give someone who wants to battle the grief itself is understand that you are more than enough. You have breath in your body. You are here because it's a purpose. Don't ever think that because you're going through what you're going through, it's going to last. Nothing lasts forever. You got to understand that nothing lasts forever. And despite you going through what you're going through, there's always a purpose. I have a quote that I wound up saying, death is the life that you never arrived at. Because you don't have to be in a coffin. You don't have to be cremated to be dead. Your soul can be dead.
That's true.
So again, what is the one thing that's worth waiting? Like, what's the one thing that's worth living? And only they know the one thing that's worth living. No one else knows but them.
It's true. Very good point. So, what about you, my lovely co-host? Because if you've been through grief like I have, we talk about it all the time. We didn't have snot bubbles on the phone and all types of stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you deal? Like, how do you, deal with life's adversity and keep going? Like, what's y'all motivation to keep going? Like, to still stay fly, get your hair done, brush your teeth, wash your crack. What is your motivation?
I'm gonna be honest, Crouch. I'm gonna be honest. Some days it's real tough. It's real tough. I know now. This is the thing. There have been times in my life when I've been so low that, like, I don't get out the bed. I don't wash the crack of my behind. So I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck, because it's like that depression has you so it has a hold of you so bad that you just don't have the energy to do anything. I've been there, and it's like, even now, I'm not gonna say that I'm totally free of it, but it's like now I feel like I've developed certain tools that allows me to be able to recognize it when it comes and find other ways to divert my attention. You know what I'm saying? So that I don't fall victim to that again. Like, I don't want to be in that pit again, and that's whether it's dealing with, losses, personal, professionally, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Grief is like another form of depression to me. If you allow it, it will take you under.
Yep.
Like, it'll take you under the tides real quick. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely have to find other ways to, again, divert your attention. If it is if it's, again, being in nature. You know what I mean? I didn't appreciate that. I did not appreciate being just sitting in the grass or just sitting by some water, or, I know this sounds weird, y'all, tree hugging. I started tree hugging. Sir, I'm not gonna lie. It changed my whole perspective, because it made me realize, it made me look at how wonderful God is to create all of this beautiful stuff. What the hell do I have to be sad about?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
That opened my eyes to some things. You know what I mean? And it's funny, as she was talking, I was sitting back thinking about my mind crazy. I was sitting back thinking about Bob Marley, right? Now, I know y'all done heard this song forever. I love this song, but it's like, when I really heard it and listened to it, that thing brought me to tears. I started shouting and everything. His song, Three Little Birds. When I started listening to that, I was like, what? You mean to tell me this been saying this the whole time? I
Oh,
never.
okay. Co-host, from the people that don't know that song,
I'm gonna
could you give
Break
us,
it down. Look, break
give
it
us
down.
some lyrics? Because I'm like, what the hell is that? Okay.
I'm gonna recite the song. It says, "Woke up this morning." Wait a minute. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds beside my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, "This is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be all right." And when I heard that, like for real, I broke that thing down because it made me realize if God every day, these birds is flying around, beautiful as they are, they ain't really got no home. They don't know where their food coming from every day, but they find it.
Yep.
God always provides for them.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, why should I be sitting here in misery when I know I got a father that's gonna provide for me too?
Yep.
You know what I mean? That whole song just hit me totally different after that. Like when I hear that thing now, I get my little thing going.
You know, it's funny because when you have death,
You got a nice voice though, just to let you know.
yeah. When you have death,
Don't gas my head up. Don't gas my head up.
when you encounter death, it provokes you to tap into God.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it does.
You can be mad, you can cuss and do whatever you want, but when somebody dies and it get personal,
Yeah.
first thing you say is God. You start either confessing or you start, forgive or ask for forgiveness. You start doing something.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And it's sad that it takes that to do it, but it takes that to reflect, allows you to reflect on things.
Yeah.
That a lot of us take for granted. So yeah. So.
Look,
that's a big one.
I can sing that song and dance all day. Okay,
that's
right.
a big one.
That all day.
Right.
I think for me, yes, I've lost people in my life. You know what I'm saying? My mom was like the closest. My uncle, my mom's brother, he was like my second father. That hurt. But I think sometimes even that, it really didn't hit me as hard until I had to face death. Once I had to face it, it put that thing in a whole different limelight for me.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It really did. It put that thing into full perspective.
And it does.
And it changed me. It really did. It changed me. So to be able to come from that and be here sitting here talking to y'all and singing in my low key kind of voice, trust and believe that is an ultimate blessing as to what God can do.
Yes.
When you really put your trust in him. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Look, everybody gonna go through something. We all gonna have tough times. We're all gonna have trials and tribulations. We're gonna suffer in moments. You know what I mean? But it's one of my favorite scriptures is Galatians 6:9. And it says, "Do not be weary in well doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not."
Exactly.
You just got to keep holding on to that. That's my laugh. That's my tag.
And that's true.
That made me think of a line from a poem that I read.
Okay. Come on with it. Come on with it.
This line, just this whole thing. This line, and I said, there'll always be long lines and long suffering. Always be. And my thing is, that builds character. It builds faith. It builds resilience.
It does.
It builds, the truth. You ain't you're gonna stop lying to yourself about things. You're gonna start facing it, and it kills pride.
It does.
Yes.
And my thing is that, and a lot of people need that. And it, like I said, it's sad that it takes death to do it, but sometimes it takes something to shake up, because you're always asking God, why, like you said, Kiana, like, why God, like, why me, like, why this, why now, like, what lesson did I have to learn in this, like, what, like, and then when it's multiple, see, you bad because you had multiple. You had mom, your father, and your husband. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? My mom passed, my grandparents passed, and that was difficult. You know what I'm saying? My daughter's mom passed. My daughter's mom passed when she was 17, so I'm her only parent now. So it's been that way for her since she was 17. She's 30 now, so that was difficult. But I couldn't imagine somebody I'm married to and it happened. That would ever take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so is that grieving process different from your parents? Like, how long were you married before that happened?
Literally, let's see, 6 days. No, it was 6 years. I'm trying to remember 6 years because I actually wrote a poem about this where I had it down to this T far as how long we actually been married before he passed away. I know definitely it was 6 years. In about 3 weeks, it would have been our 7th year anniversary. It would have been our 7th year. He actually passed away 2 weeks exactly before my birthday.
Wow.
And I had his service 2 days before my birthday.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So
right.
That right there, it was like it took a toll.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, God just told me, let go. Let go. I need you to let go. I need you to relinquish this.
Is it to let go to say, like, stop, don't blame yourself in the letting go part of it? Or what is it? Elaborate on that.
More of, there's a reason why I'm doing this. There's a purpose always behind it.
And just trust it.
Exactly.
Trust it. Okay.
Because that's the hardest thing for us to do, is to let go of anything that we love.
Facts. Facts.
Now
that segues to my phrase, it pays, that I always be saying.
Mm-hmm.
Vulnerability is expensive.
Yes.
And when you become vulnerable and you say, okay, God, you relinquish your rights of control, that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is.
Okay, so God, I can't put my hand in, I can't put my toe in it, I can't do nothing. So I can't have nothing. I got whatever you do, I just adhere to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a monster.
It is.
And it's a monster because naturally the people we live in this world, we're control freaks by nature.
Yes, we are.
So my thing is that, okay, you want me to get over that and relinquish my rights. Cold turkey.
Yep.
I can't wean myself off of the nothing. Can I be in control and not paying a bill and you cover it? Can I do that? I'm trying to figure something out.
Negotiate.
Can we have a
negotiation here?
Can we have a meeting?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, it is. It oh my God, it is, and I can really say it is so hard to let go. It is, and like he knows that it's going to be hard for us to let go.
Oh yeah.
You know, he knows that, and I can truly, honestly say, because not even too long ago, like I said, both parents, a late husband, my pet, and literally, I'm being honest with you, just like a month and a half, I lost his mother. I just lost his mother.
Wow.
And it was a release. Like you said, Shawan, it was a release.
Yeah.
I was able to release. And it felt good. And when I cried, it wasn't cry of sorrow. It was more cry of, you're releasing me.
Yeah.
You telling me it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. There's nothing else you have to do. It's done.
Correct.
You cried enough.
Oh, yeah.
You cried enough. It's done.
Yeah.
So watch what I do for you.
So I have to. That conviction almost made me want to fight you. I don't really want to fight. I want to fight.
Oh, look, I got boxing hands now.
Fight.
But yeah, so I can honestly say now, just looking back, because like I said, we always ask that why, right? And God ain't, he gonna give you some, he ain't gonna give you all of it until
Correct.
later. But I've realized with all of that, he gave me that because he knew I could handle it. So it was something that he knew I was able to handle, because we all got our own situations in handling certain things. He knew I was able to handle it.
Correct.
Because I could have been depressed. I could have lost my mind. I could have did all of this, but he kept me. He kept me sane in the membrane.
Right.
So I can honestly say now, like looking back, if I didn't go through all that, I went and did my poetry book.
Right.
I wouldn't have met the people who I have met. I wouldn't even be sitting here talking with you all.
That is true.
So I'm grateful, despite me going through all of it.
Right.
Oh, that's
Gratitude.
yes. Yes.
I have gratitude.
That's good. That's good. It's good stuff. That's good. So how many poetry books do you have, ma'am?
Right now, I have my one, You and I Inspired Me.
Okay.
I have that one.
Okay.
I do have that, but I'm in the making of two of them. I'm organizing the second one, and then I'm writing the third one still.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, Park. So this gives you some inspiration now to get to work, sir. Get to work.
Exactly. No excuses.
You're on the spot. In the hot seat.
I've been working my whole life. At first, I'm be honest. I was doing poetry for a minute, like heavy. I don't write as much as I used to, but I still love the art form. I think there's nothing more freeing than spoken word poetry. It's like, and I've heard some of the most amazing stuff I've ever heard in my life, on poetry stages and listening to other people. I think people that do poetry has such an eclectic, interesting mind. It's like a kaleidoscope vision that they have.
Yeah.
It's like that they see, from 5 different perspectives, and it all makes sense when they do it, when it comes together. But writing, just like Kiana, it was for healing purposes at the beginning. It was like, okay, I need to write to get it out, because I don't want to become a black Unabomber. I want to write. You know what I'm saying? So I want to kill nobody. You know what I'm saying? So I think after that, I started getting really good at it. And then I started, then I was in, I did a lot of stuff with it when I was in Miami, Florida, and I still eventually gonna get back on track and doing it. But I love poets in their minds, the way you all think, the way we all think. I think I'm a poet too. I love the way God uses you in your words, because God gives us the words.
Yes.
We're ignorant until He downloads it to us.
Yes.
That is true.
Because I've written some stuff, and I'm like, in my natural capacity, there's no way I could write that in my natural capacity.
Yep.
And write it like that. I think, once you're vested in whatever gift you have that God gives you, it's like a second nature. It's like breathing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah. But I am Jones, going to get it together. I am.
Right.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You definitely will. You'll do it at your time.
So I have another question. So since you didn't tell me that she did it, did you tell her that I do it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that you wrote poetry either.
Oh my God.
So it's a shock to both of us. Look how she did us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't want to spill the beans. Didn't want to
Okay.
spill the beans.
And it's kind of funny because the last poem I wrote kind of like coincides with this. It's called The Healing Poem. And it's ironic that I wrote that, and basically a lot of what this conversation about is regarding healing, through grieving and all this stuff. So yeah.
Are you gonna bless us with it?
Exactly, because I was waiting.
Now, I ain't no punk. I can do it. I can do it off the fly because
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
always
I know.
told you don't get ready, you stay ready.
All right now. Okay, come with it.
You're talking to a professional. I want to warn you.
Come with it, coach. Come on, Cletus. Come on.
Okay, you can close your eyes. You can do whatever you want to do, but I want you to feel this. This is grown folk part of the conversation.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let me know when y'all ready.
Yes, we're ready.
I'm ready.
Find yourself in this. I wrote this poem as a survival tactic because depression is known for its fatalities, and I blame it on the dozens of opportunities that I've had to forgive myself. So for safety reasons, I've closed every exit of my heart just so I can commit myself to healing, relearning faith and calling it profit sharing. So now everything that comes from me direct, now that's my deposit. So now I can create my own sunshine because that's what survivors do. That allows me to love like it's a mission statement because I was told to fall in love with the streets would make me a hopeless romantic in a world that says to go back to where I came from, as if where I came from ain't what I am, manufactured from a city that promotes me being one bullet away from winning. So now death has made me scared to live, causing my heart to have gun issues that provokes me to ramble about rebellion because I am tired of watching death in my living room and hearing them call my privilege a dead language, which explains why my skin is always mispronounced. So in an effort to heal out loud, I ask God, how do I make poetry great again? One, be mindful that metaphors are not sold over the counter, and if not careful, it can turn your motivation into a motive too. Stop telling lies in order to keep secrets, because pride creates a universe of its own, a buffet that makes you full of yourself. Three, stop separating God from love, because it dilutes it and makes the consequences of your actions hard to swallow. So the question still remains, am I safe enough to love? Which is the very reason why I write to live. I live to write. That gives me the power to leap tall buildings in a single metaphor and exercise my rights to heal.
I like that.
Ooh.
Tell you, this is a grown folk part of the conversation.
You know.
You don't call me out. Don't do that. Don't
I love it.
Oh my God.
But all that to say is that God gives us that. God gives us the motivation to write it. God gives us the unction to write it. But we still have to be obedient in it. And I think what kind of gets me over the grieving, a lot is the fact that I keep myself busy. I keep myself writing. I keep myself motivated in the next step. I keep anticipating God's move. I keep wanting to hear what he has to say next. I thank him for the hell because it makes me learn the lesson in it.
Yeah.
That's my motivating factor. I got grandkids. I got a daughter. I got people that love me unconditionally with no stipulations. When you have that, that's more than enough motivation.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, you now, honestly, when I get to points where I think about my grandmother or my mom or my grandfather, it's never in the hurting aspect. It's in the missing aspect. Yeah. It's in the if she was her, she would have said this, or she would have said that, or she would have said something crazy like this, and that. And I when I think about that, it makes me feel good. It don't make me feel like it don't turn me down. Like a lot of people, it may turn me down. It don't do that to me. So.
Yeah.
And that's always a blessing. And that's
right.
always a blessing when you can feel that way, hearing their voice,
Correct.
because I know for some people, it is a little harder where they can't hear the voice. They can't watch the person like on like a movie or anything like that.
Right.
So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
Right.
But just keep going and you will eventually build up to it. You will build up to you hearing their voices and you are like, oh my God, now I can watch this video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a growth. It's a growth. You know, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. That's all you need. One day at a time. You know, so if you're someone who pretty much is, I can't get out of bed today. You understand? That's okay. It's okay if you can't get out of bed. That's perfectly fine. So make it your goal the next day to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get out the house, make it your effort to get out the bed.
Yeah.
Correct. Now that's vital. You gotta do that.
You know?
You doing it right. That's vital.
Exactly.
Right.
So small steps. Small steps. You know, don't try to feel like, oh, I gotta feel like this today, because you ain't gonna know how you're gonna feel, to be honest with you. You're gonna be all over. Correct. And it's okay to also tell people, you know what, I don't know how I feel today. I don't know how I feel. Yeah. And the people that are there to support you, you know, I would tell them, you know, be there presently. Sometimes don't say anything, just be silent.
Yeah.
And allow that person who's grieving to talk to you when they're ready.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to just have that present body there.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, it's awesome. You know, it's definitely awesome. You know, I really do. I just thank God for just allowing me to go through. Allow me to go through to get and have the healing, or shall I say, to be healed.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the correct way, to be healed.
Right.
Because healing is just going through. I'm healed.
Facts.
I'm healed.
So here's my question, Miss Kiana Jones. Besides this amazing wisdom that you have, what else you got going, and how can our amazing listeners find you on social media? How can they find you?
Well, on social media, what I got going on now, I'm actually also a blogger. Okay. Yeah, so when you go to my website, the blog is actually called The Blog of You and I.
Okay.
And it actually talks about some of the things that I kind of discussed here. Of course, you know, breaking it down just a little bit more. Okay. Social media, they can go to my Instagram, which is KJ Loves 04. They can go to Facebook and find me. They can go to Twitter also and find me, and that's at Jones Kiana, whereas Facebook is Kiana Jones. But all of that is actually on my website. So if they go to, again, www.kianajonesinspiredme.com, they can get the blog. They can get access to my social media. They can email me. They can see, you know, me doing open mics. They can see videos. You know, it's a lot of things. They could click on why I wrote poetry, how the poetry actually absorbs everything that I do from mental, spiritual, and on a grief standpoint. You know, so I mean, really, it's in my website. You know, they go to my website as a one-stop shop for them. One-stop shop.
Okay, all right. So you be going out to the poetry spots, huh?
I do. Okay. I do open mics. Yes, I do. I also do the virtual ones too. I do the virtual ones too. Okay. And it's a difference. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit of a difference doing the virtual versus, you know, you being at the mic and it's like, hold on, what?
Right.
It's a difference.
Right. I mean, I would think it would be easier doing a virtual, or is it harder for
you? No, you still get the same sometimes. You know how when you first start, because you know, you get that nervousness going on in your body. Yeah. It's the same thing for virtual, because at the end of the day, you have to realize when you go to an open mic, it's a certain amount of people. When you do virtual, now you're going out to the mass, and you out there in the world.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
I never thought about it like that.
You in the world, so it's like, oh my God, anybody could hear me. Like, did I mess up?
Now with me, I think it's the bodies. Like, to me, it's like because you can hear people move, you can hear people grunt, say something, ooh, or ah, or what. When you hear that, and you know, if you ain't focused, that could throw you off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I love the open mic, like being in the building. Like, to me, it's a whole nother element. You can move around, you can interact with the crowd. It's a whole new different animal. I've done it virtually, like maybe once or twice. or even on our Clubhouse, I've done it, but it's like them hearing you opposed to being in the atmosphere. You can
It's a
smell the
difference.
bodies and the energy. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's
It is. It is a difference because I actually literally on Clubhouse did some poetry on Clubhouse too. You know, so it's funny how you have one, you got they're all visualization. But you
right.
got the one that's audio, which is the Clubhouse setting, right? You got the
Correct.
audio,
Correct.
they can hear you. Oh, yeah, that was good. Wow, you know. And then
Right.
when you go in person, like you said, it's a total different
It
vibe. It's
is.
a total different
It
feeling
is. It
because
is.
now it's like your body language. Now they're reading your body
Facts.
language
Facts.
with listening to you.
Facts.
Whereas virtual, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you be like, you know, I'm about to turn off this camera. You just gonna hear me like I'm audio, but you can't
Right.
really see too much all the time the body language.
Correct.
You can't see it all the time.
Right.
So, but I like all three.
Okay.
I actually like all three. You know, I really do. I can actually say I like all three of them. So yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun.
All right. Well, this was an amazing podcast. See, it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be, right?
No, it wasn't.
I tried to tell you. I tried to told you. Anyway, this is an amazing podcast episode again. We enjoyed having you. We got a lot of good wisdom from you because I mean, dealing with you have dealt with, a lot of people wouldn't be able to deal with it. Like a lot of people would have been probably in an insane asylum. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of them included. But hearing your transparency in it brought me a lot more peace, you know, in it. So I thank you for coming to our platform of shaking up the algorithms and sharing your story. We really appreciate you. We love you. And we would even like for you to come back if the opportunity permits. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
But
next show gonna be called The Road to Damascus.
The road to the
you know what? Wait, hold on, wait.
Okay.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Because it's so funny. Listen.
Okay.
When I went to, that's actually okay, so every time I went to Tennessee, right? I'll be honest with you, I flew. This time I drove. And literally, I was like, here we go, long road to Damascus. And that's what I call it. Every time I drive there, it's my long road to Damascus. And it's so funny you're saying that, Shawan. That is just too funny. That is too funny.
That's confirmation, too.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I look, I receive.
Now, I know y'all don't know what the hell we talking about, and that's fine. I give you a little history. Because see, this is what women do. They give you bits and pieces, and we got to figure the rest out. So, what it is Kiana is moving from her state to another state. God and blessed her with a new position, new job, and she's been obedient and she's being blessed. And God give her a new assignment because you know what I'm saying. Whenever you move to another place, that's your new assignment. You got to be the light in that darkness. You know what I'm saying? So, and with every level, there's a new devil. So, you got to prepare yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, all that, spiritually, all that. So, and they was talking about that prior. You know what I'm saying? I had to be CSI St. Louis and figure that out. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't gonna tell me nothing, so I had to figure that out. So, hey, I feel your pain. Whoever's listening, I understand. Yeah. So, but I think what I got out of that, just listening to that, the little bit of what y'all was talking about, is like, hey, when God say move, move.
Yes.
And be confident in the movement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is, a lot of people scared and don't do nothing because they didn't move. I think I heard one guy say, that pastor, I can't think of his name, Monroe. So he said, the most richest people are the people in the grave sites.
Yep.
Because they never did what they were supposed to do, and they had all these ideas, and they never used them. They never utilized them. They weren't obedient. God said, "Your gifts will make room." He didn't say it on Wednesdays. On the weekend, he said he didn't have no stipulations on that. He said, "Your gifts will make room." Period. Mm-hmm. So you got to trust that. You got to trust the movement. You got to trust in what God is doing and move. And just period. Like you said, Kiana, we're in a season of transitioning. God is moving people out. He's moving. He's elevating people.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "The first shall be last, and the last shall be first." And that's what he's
Yes.
doing right now, slowly but surely. You just gotta prepare. You just gotta be ready for that. And I think when you get to Tennessee, you're gonna be blessed. It's gonna be a blessing because
It is.
he moved you there for a reason, especially considering you never been there until you start visiting prior before you went. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's gonna be a blessing.
Yes.
And I honestly feel, and I'm gonna say this one last thing. I honestly feel that when you know it's God, God will do something that you don't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll do something completely out of your character. Like, Tennessee, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the East Coast. And you moving me to what? Okay. All right, okay, God, I know that's you. I
Mm-hmm.
know that's you. That ain't nobody calling me no prank caller. That's you. I'm gonna listen. I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Right.
Oh man.
Oh man. Oh man.
Am I?
I'm pray for you, Shawan.
Hold on. Why does everybody gotta pray for Shawan on my behalf?
The new segment of the show.
Stop. Paul.
Everybody's saying that now. You're starting to train.
Why everybody gotta pray for Shawan on my behalf? I'm trying to figure that out.
Hey, it take a lot to deal with a DC crowd.
Well,
It take a lot to deal with.
well, here's the thing. What did I just say?
It's how your
When
Capricorn
it's God,
set up.
when
It's
it's
how
God,
your Capricorn set up.
Yeah, Capricorn.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely.
We're gonna do double prayer.
Commercial break.
Double.
Commercial break.
Double.
What does that mean? Come on. You done said too much now. Now I'm gonna let you slide on the last.
No. I'm gonna pray hard.
Oh my
And why is that?
God.
Why is that, man?
Woo, yeah, a handful.
And how was that, man?
Where you want me to begin?
You go ahead, knock yourself out. I got tough skin. Go ahead.
You got tough skin?
I got tough skin.
Y'all are like,
oh my God, this
y'all
is
stubborn.
This is
Y'all are stubborn.
Okay, that's little. That's light. Go ahead.
What you mean?
That's light. That's nothing. Well, see, what you call stubborn is we're secure and we know who we are and we're not going to compromise it. Now, if that sounds stubborn, I apologize for any inconveniences that may have caused your life in any capacity.
Oh, it don't inconvenience me.
Okay, go ahead. What's the next one?
It don't inconvenience me. My main thing is that y'all stubborn.
Okay, go ahead.
Y'all very, cause y'all a goat, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Y'all really do act like yes.
The goat.
Y'all really do be like I'm like, can you then just back up just a little? Y'all very goal oriented. I will say that though.
Facts. Go ahead, next.
Okay, Tayon, I see you.
Now you know it ends
with us. Capricorn energy.
Yours starts with us and it ends with us for a reason. We the bookends of this year, man. Don't be mad. It's okay. You ain't gotta roll your bowling ball eyes. It's okay.
You terrible.
These I'm giving you facts and it's a problem? What's the problem?
Fact check.
Right. Fact check. Absolutely. So what is the problem, man?
Yeah, good. I'm messing
Goal
with you.
oriented and we're stubborn. I'll take that for 500, Alex, if it's gonna make me successful.
I know that's right.
Okay. All right.
I know that's right.
All right.
It's nothing wrong with that.
So I had to come out of my. I was going in this show lovely, and me come out of character, Lord.
Oh
God,
my
I'm sorry.
God.
I didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. Okay.
That's
okay.
fun.
I even said, we love you on the show, and we give you nuggets, give you all type of flowers. You a Capricorn? Oh my God. No.
Look, I accept the flowers still. I accept the flowers. I still accept them.
Okay. As I was saying so eloquently, I was going to say that we enjoyed you on the show for shaking up the algorithms.
Thank you.
You were very refreshing today because a lot of people don't know how to deal with grief.
That's
and
true.
the fact that you do it so well and so easily. I mean, it really made me feel good about what you were saying because I have my moments. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know how to deal with my moments.
Yeah.
So I thank God that you came on the show to show us how to deal with our moments.
It was such
Another
great.
flower.
It was such great.
And I know that you're gonna do well, and I wish you well in your move.
Yeah.
Another flower. And you know what I'm saying? Even though you call me stubborn, it's okay. It's all right.
The truth shall set you free.
It
Yeah.
will.
So anyway, we're gonna bring another show to a close. You know, with all these shenanigans at the end. I guess it is good to laugh at the end. You know, because it was
Yes,
very
laughter is good for the
solemn.
medicine.
A lot
It's
of
good for the
solemn, very
soul.
solemn show. And you know, I'm sorry. Quick question. Just sidebar.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Quick question.
Here it comes.
And what sign are you, ma'am? If you can hunt, you can hear. What sign are you, ma'am?
Oh, I'm a Libra.
That explains a lot.
Ah!
That explains a lot.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
Jonte, my cousin's a Libra. I'm Libra.
We're good people.
I'm Libra trained.
Oh, you Libra trained.
I'm Libra trained.
So you know that we good people.
Yeah, you have good hearts.
Yes.
You have
We
good
do.
hearts. Very, very cocky and conceited, though. But you
Oh,
have
here
very
we
good hearts.
go.
Hey, I mean, I've had one Libra experience, but she's something else. She ain't no joke.
Let me tell you, son, I'm surrounded by them.
And y'all very quiet. Y'all sit back in the cut. Don't say
That's
nothing.
right. That's
you know,
right.
just observe. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I ain't trying to cause no problem. Okay, but I'm slash their tires when they sleep. I don't want to cause no problem though.
I guess that's only when you
do it. I'm
look.
Nice.
I guess that's when you tip the scale. Get that when you tip the scale. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, look, they're like, you know, because you know we the judges. I'm like, yeah, tip the scale.
That's another reason we need to do a show about science. Lord have mercy, Father.
We should.
God.
We should.
Lord have mercy. We got to do that.
Out here, y'all.
And that's gonna be a 3-4 hour show. I'm just letting you know. That's gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are gonna be in denial.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are, you know, but then it's gonna be surprising as well to see, you know, how some people match up to some signs. Because I mean, you tell me all the time, Crouch, I don't seem like a typical Gemini to you.
Oh God.
Okay, exactly.
Even look, let me tell you something. I'm gonna pray for you, David.
Who need to pray
I'm gonna pray for you, David.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna pray for you.
Exactly.
Let's see how the tables turn. I said,
but you know what? But guess what?
The scale.
Hold on. Let me say this real quick.
But Gemini.
Let me say this before we go further. I happen to love that Gemini. She's cool. She's good.
Yeah,
now, Shawana's not typical Gemini because I tested the waters. I'm like, let me throw a rock in there and see if it ripple. Let me throw a rock in that water and see if it ripple.
Let me tell you, that's why I said, like,
I'm saying, thank you. Because you know, Gemini women are the truth.
You know what? You know what?
We are.
All you need to go is 11 more steps. You need to admit the truth. You need to deal with the truth. You got 11 more steps to go.
Let me tell you something. When you say you are Libra trained, I am Gemini trained, along with Libra trained. Like literally, like my mother was a Gemini. My nephew is a Gemini. My mother-in-law was a Gemini. I cannot get away from I'm like, woo. So I know y'all. I know y'all will. So I understand what you're saying about the Libra train, David. All right, I understand. I'm Gemini trained.
All right.
So we here. We back on good look. We here. We here.
That's sad.
All right. Like I said, we gonna do it.
I love you, Sean. I love you.
But we're gonna do a show on science. That's gonna be a 10-hour show.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like
It is. So
it's gonna be like a marathon or something. It's gonna be like
we definitely should do that though.
man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun and interesting at the same damn time. Lord have mercy, Father God.
We should.
So you know, a Gemini and Capricorn, it don't even make sense that we even have a show.
It
This ain't nothing but the Lord. This is God's doing.
Exactly.
God's
Exactly. Exactly.
I know that twin of that Gemini. I get on that nigga's last name. That nigga be like, let me tell you what you want to do.
He be tap dancing.
But let me tell you what
I'm
you
quite
want
sure he
to
do, Shawan.
I'll say something to Shawan, right? And she'll be like, yes, Crouch.
She
I'm like, oh, that other twin is cussing you out? Okay, got it. Okay, got it. I done struck a nerve. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And then that's how they be, though. I'm not gonna lie. That's really how they be. They be like holding it in, like, okay.
Yeah.
Holding it in, like, You know what you're doing. You know that, right? You know what you're doing.
That's what we do.
Yes, but y'all good people. Y'all good people, though.
Yeah.
Y'all good.
Well, this one, I ain't speak to everybody else.
True.
The only one I know. I done dated one years ago, and she was no joke. I said, Black History. I can't do it.
You said Black History.
She officially became Black History.
That is funny.
Yeah. But I'm going to give her a shirt to say, you are Black History. Yeah, you officially But, yeah, we're going to do that. That's going to be fun. That's going to be
interesting.
Very interesting.
That's going to be interesting.
Everybody got to we're going to have an expert that know what the hell they doing.
Yeah.
That know the signs like the back of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't be a Gemini or a Capricorn. That's gonna be funny. It's gonna be biased.
And that is true. They cannot be.
We're gonna do that. That's fine. We can agree with that. And then we're gonna bring them on. That's gonna be fun as hell.
Compromising.
Right. But see, I can do that. See. But I'm really talking to one of the twins, so you know, I may not be she may not even be coherent to what I just said.
Oh.
I'm talking to the twin. So
oh my goodness.
Sometimes I just have to grin and bear it.
Exactly. You're doing it well.
But here's the thing. If I never talked about you, you're not going to be relevant. You're not relevant.
True.
You have relevancy, Jones. We're on a show. We're on our 8th show, Nick.
I can respect that. I can respect
that. I do what I can. You know what I can. Do what I can. Now,
I appreciate the shade serenade. That's what it is.
I got you. You got to balance him out sometimes, right?
Shade serenade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the love with the shade. I get it.
Yep.
I get it.
Capricorns are the goats for a reason. Do your research. Okay. Capricorns are entrepreneurs. Capricorns are leaders. Capricorns are money magnets. Nobody talking about that? Okay, so my thing is that you should be able to deal with the rest. You will be all right.
That's right.
You will be all right.
I'm waving my flag.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Now, as I was saying, going back to the show, we look forward to having you again. We have to have you again because this was fun, as usual. You know, we don't just talk about something and ask questions. We have fun too. We're gonna get stuff out. You know, so we need to get stuff out. You know, unwind. You know what I'm saying, for your day, and just laugh and just enjoy life, breathe.
Yes.
And you know, take people off the hooks. Learn how to forgive, laugh, and joke, and not take anything personal. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's all. Yeah. But I'm going to say this in passing, which I always say. I always talk about the have and the have-nots. Always be thankful for what you have, and don't worry about what you don't have, because what you don't have, God is still ready, getting you prepared for what you don't have. So be gracious for what you have. Those are my words of wisdom in ending this podcast. And what about yours, Miss Jones?
And my wonderful words of wisdom are love is optional, but grace is free. So extend some grace to somebody today.
Yes.
It'll help you. It'll help.
Yes.
So, to all the amazing listeners, we're glad that you came. We love you all, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Shaking Up the Algorithms. And in passing, peace.
Good night, y'all.
Find us on our social media page. Tune in for our next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you won't miss out on any future episodes.